Om Ajnana-timirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yudapadkamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Satam Sajivam Sadhvekam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha
Krishna
Krishna
Chaitanya
Padam
Deva
Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapt Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishbhanu Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakaltarubhyascha Kripa Sindhibhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatam Ham Vande Shri Gurum Dina Taranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Ishwaram Gurve Gaur Chandraya Radhikaya Tadalaya Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tat Bhaktaya Namo Namo Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. You can hear me now, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I'll just go back a little. I know I asked to memorize this verse. Has anybody memorized it? Anyone would like to recite this? 3.30. We can recite it a couple times now. Let's do it 3 times. Mai sarvani karmani Mai sarvani karmani Sanyasya adhyatma chetasa Sanyasya adhyatma chetasa Nirashir nirmamo bhutva Nirashir nirmamo bhutva Yudhyasva vigajvara Yudhyasva vigajvara. Once more, we can do it together. Let's do twice more together. Mai sarvani karmani sanyasya adhyatma chetasa nirashir nirmamo bhutva yudhyasva vigajvara. Once more. Mai sarvani karmani sanyasya adhyatma chetasa nirashir nirmamo bhutva yudhyasva vigajvara. So just to recap this verse, so 3 topics, the last part of the 3rd chapter has 3 topics, okay? Krishna talked about how work is important, who should work, who should not, is eligible to give up work. Like there are certain people that are so highly elevated, so pure, so detached, so much in knowledge, so fixed in transcendence that they can give up work, okay? And he gave examples. But then he said it's better that such people do not disturb the regular people, the ordinary people. And in fact, they should set an example by working in the proper spirit. Okay, so they should still keep working, but their spirit of work will be different from that of the ordinary people. Ordinary people will be very attached to the results, they'll be very attached to the action. They would feel themselves to be the enjoyer, the proprietor, the owner of that result or that action. But an elevated person, a pure person, should work in a different spirit. He should work in, look at this verse, it says Adhyatma Chetasa. He should work according to this verse, okay? This is the verse that describes the work in spirit of Krishna consciousness. So he should work in this spirit of Krishna consciousness. Adhyatma Chetasa. Adhyatma Chetasa se kaam karna chahiye. So basically he's saying, Mai sarvani karmani, offer all the actions to me. Sanyasya, meaning give up or offer the results and the action to me. Work in this consciousness, adhyatma chetasa. Nirashir. Nirashir matlab become ashaless or become hopeless. Hopeless for material results, okay? Become don't look for any gain. Don't be hopeful for any gain or profit. Okay, if something comes out of your action, then it's okay, but still you are not the enjoyer of that. Okay, you are not the owner or the enjoyer or the proprietor of that result. So don't work for that gain or profit. Okay, don't work for selfish or personal gains. Nirashir. Nirmamo. Don't be very possessive. Okay, stay detached. Don't try to take ownership, like ownership as in you should be accountable or take ownership of your action, but as in don't think that I own this result or whatever happens is happening because of me. So remember 2.47, don't think yourself to be the cause of the result. Okay, so stay detached from the action and from the results without possessiveness. Nirmamo, it's not mine. Okay, Yudhyasva Vigajwara. And still, you should not be lazy. Just because you are not getting to enjoy the result or you are not the proprietor or owner or enjoyer of the result, you should not become lazy. You should still be fighting or working very actively, very energetically, without this doership or enjoyer mentality. Okay, very diligently, very responsibly, but offering the results to me. So, this is the proper spirit of Krishna consciousness work. There is a beautiful quote. It says that, you know, when an athlete, when a sport, like a sportsman plays in a team, let's say you are playing cricket or some team sports, then the athlete should play for the name on the front of the jersey, not the one on the back. Okay, because so the name on the front of the jersey will be the name of the team, right? Like let's say Indian cricketer will play for India, Australian cricketer will play for Australia, not play for the name on the back of the jersey, because if he's playing just for himself, then he will make mistakes. He will be very self-centered, he will be very egocentric, and in that mood if he plays, he will not be helping the team will lose actually if an athlete plays in that spirit. So the spirit of Krishna consciousness is that you always work for the satisfaction of the whole, not for the part. You are the part, you should not work for your own satisfaction, but rather work for the satisfaction of the supreme whole, and then everybody else will be satisfied. You will also be satisfied if Krishna, the whole, is satisfied. The cause, the source of everything is satisfied, then you will be satisfied. So, this, in another words, oftentimes in Bhagavatam and other places in Prabhupada's books I've read, it's called labor of love. So, your work, every action that you do should be a labor of love. And then there are certain quotes I included. Serving God is the greatest adventure in the world. So it's not dull work. Actually, when you start service, when you start working, and when all your work, all your activities of life, all your conditional duties and constitutional duties become a service, then it's actually very adventurous. That life is actually not dull or boring. People are, you know, always looking for some adventure, some fun, some dynamic things to happen in their life, a lot of changes to happen in their life. So actually this is a great adventure to go through. Those that God used in the past were just ordinary people with an extraordinary master. I really like this quote because our master should be Supreme Lord. So if your master is not a person of this world, but actually the Supreme Lord, that extraordinary person is your master, that supreme person is your master, then even you will become extraordinary. So we are all ordinary, but if our master is extraordinary, then ordinary people also become extraordinary actually. So those people were all ordinary, but their master was extraordinary. So work for that master. Now, this is the last verse where we stopped. So, this is one concept Krishna covers towards the end of chapter 3, labor of love, also referred to as yoga, nishkam karma yoga. Sometimes we call it yagya. Yagya means we are offering all our results, all our actions, all our talents, all our activities, all our tendencies, right, resources, facilities in the fire of this work. It is an oblation, so it's a yagya. Okay. Um, so that's one concept. The second concept, where we stopped last time, was this verse 3.35. We can recite this again, and today we have to read this purport also. So let's recite again. Shreyan swadharmo viguna. Shreyan swadharmo viguna. Paradharmat swa anushtitat. Paradharma sva anushtita swadharme nidhanam shreya swadharme nidhanam shreya paradharmo bhayavaha paradharmo bhayavaha. So let's read this translation quickly and purport. So if you remember, I showed you another verse which is very similar to this verse. It comes in chapter 18, 18.47. It's very similar to this verse in that only the last line changes. So the rest of the verse is exactly same. It says, Shreyan swadharmo viguna paradharmat swanushtitat swabhavanyatam. Last two lines change. Swabhavanyatam karma kurvannapnoti kilbisham. Okay. So basically, this verse is talking about how one should uh, choose a prescribed duty which is according to one's nature, according to one's swabhav or swadharma. Okay, we should practice that kind of prescribed duty or that kind of action even though we practice it faultily. Viguna means faultily. So even though whatever we do, which is according to our swabhav, we do it a little bit faultily, it's better to engage in that prescribed duty rather than to engage in paradharma, meaning another person's duty, even though we can do it perfectly. Okay, because destruction in performing one's own duties in the course of performing one's duty is better is better, and following another person's path is actually very dangerous. Okay, so destruction means having some problems in following one's own duties. Okay, we should accept those problems, we should accept some obstacles, some difficulties that come when following one's own path. It's okay to try to overcome those obstacles rather than just take up somebody else's dharma, because that is bhayavaha, that is dangerous. And in 18.47 also, Krishna says similar thing. He says that it's better to work according to one's own nature, and such duties are not affected by sinful reactions. So in those duties, even if somebody makes a fault, like here Krishna says Viguna makes a fault, okay, we are error prone. We are humans, we have a tendency to make errors. We are prone to errors. So even if we make some errors, it's okay. It's better to try to just correct those mistakes, stumble and fall and have some difficulties, face those difficulties, rather than to just give up that path and take up somebody else's path. That's not recommended. And on that path, you may actually get some sinful reactions. We'll discuss more details of this, but let's read the translation and purport. Can somebody read? This verse is very important. It's very practical for our daily life. And I was telling, I don't see kids today, but I was telling kids last time that it helps us to choose one's prescribed duty in one's life. So we will talk
Yes,
about that too.
yes, I
Yes,
see it.
please go ahead.
But no, and before that, it is far better to discharge one's prescribed duties, even though faultily, than another's duties perfectly. Destruction in the course of performing one's own duty is better than engaging in another's duties. For to follow another's path is dangerous. Purport. Should I continue?
Yes,
Okay.
please. Yes.
Purport. One should therefore discharge his prescribed duties in full Krishna consciousness rather than those prescribed duties for others. Materially, prescribed duties are duties enjoined according to one's psychophysical condition under the spell of modes of material nature. Spiritual duties are as ordered by the spiritual master for the transcendental service of Krishna. But whether material or spiritual, one should stick to his prescribed duties even up to death, rather than imitate another's prescribed duties. Duties on the spiritual platform and duties on the material platform may be different, but the principle of following the authorized direction is always good for the performer. When one is under the spell of the modes of material nature, one should follow the prescribed rules for his particular situation and should not imitate others. For example, in Brahman, who is in the mode of goodness,
Brahman.
Brahman, who is in the mode of goodness, is non-violent. Whereas in Kshatriya, who is in the mode of passion, is allowed to be violent. As such, for a Kshatriya, it is better to be vanquished following the rules of violence rather than to imitate a Brahman who follows the principles of non-violence. Everyone has to cleanse his heart by a gradual process, not abruptly. However, when one transcends the modes of material nature and is fully situated in Krishna consciousness, he can perform anything and everything under the direction of a bona fide spiritual master. In that complete stage of Krishna consciousness, the Kshatriya may act as Brahman or a Brahman may act as Kshatriya. In the transcendental stage, the distinctions of the material world do not apply. For example, Vishwamitra was originally a Kshatriya, but later on he acted as Brahman, whereas Paramsurma was a
Parshuram.
Parshuram was a Brahman, but later on he acted as a Kshatriya. Being transcendently situated, they could do so, but as long as one is on the material platform, he must perform his duties according to the modes of material nature. At the same time, he must have a full Krishna consciousness. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. So, from Prabhupada's purport, let me highlight 2 points. Actually, 1 point. So, Prabhupada is saying that when one is under the spell of the modes of material nature, so when one is under the control of the 3 gunas, like we are, we should follow the prescribed rules for his particular situation and should not imitate others. So remember we talked about guna, karma, or our conditional duties that are decided by our gunas, by the qualities that we have acquired from whichever guna controls us. So we have developed some nature, some swabhav, some proclivities or tendencies. So because we are under the control of the 3 mode, it is better for us to use that swabhav and try not to imitate others' swabhav. Okay, others have acquired a different swabhav. So this is the main thing. And then Prabhupada is giving example of transcendental people like Vishwamitra and Parshuram who are beyond the control of 3 modes, beyond the control of gunas. So since they are transcendental, they were able to go into different born in a different varna, let's say, but able to take up the work of another varna. Like Vishwamitra was born as a Kshatriya, but then acted as a Brahman. And we will talk about how the qualities are, based on our swabhav, like the what we cultivate in this world, what kind of qualities we cultivate in this world, and not necessarily how we are born. So one may be born in Brahman family, but he may have the nature of a Kshatriya. So then he should work as a Kshatriya. So it depends on your swabhav, the qualities that you have acquired, which is not decided by birth so much. Birth, of course, has some value because you have a certain upbringing in a certain household and certain experiences, certain value system that is conveyed to you, right, certain traditions that have been imparted to you. So your upbringing, your birth in a certain family definitely decides your teaching, your education, your experiences, and that may have some um, that may lead to you choosing a certain profession. But still, as much as possible, we should try to explore our swabhav, our inherent nature, where we find the most satisfaction, and then try to engage that particular nature in the service of Krishna. Okay, let's explore this verse a lot more than what we have understood so far. Let me just go back to that slide and see if I have something else on it. So first of all, very important to understand that explore your own unique nature. Okay, we are all very unique. We are remember that we are same in quality. We are all spirit souls. We are all servants of Krishna. We are all part and parcels of Krishna. So we are all Satchidanand. But when we come, so we have a very pure consciousness. But when we come to this material world, we come under the control of the material nature, and material nature controls everybody in a very different way. Okay, so that's why everybody, based on their previous actions, previous results, previous karmas, previous janmas, previous families that they were born into, so many things decide their current nature, their current swabhav. Okay, so we have all each acquired a very unique nature in this particular body. Okay, in this particular body where we are residing, so we have to explore that unique nature. Since we are in the control of that nature right now, Krishna, remember Krishna said, what would repression accomplish? So rather trying to repress, artificially suppress that nature, we should engage that nature. We should explore, understand it, and then engage it in the service of Krishna rather than artificially trying to repress it. Okay. So that's one thing. Explore your own unique nature. Now, these are some things that happen. This is coming from Prabhupada's purports only, but this is in a form of slide, so you can see these are bullet points. What are the problems that happen when somebody tries to accept another person's duty? Okay. Okay. Now, you might think that people change the course of their profession all the time in life, right? People switch from one profession to another. Like somebody was trained as a doctor, but then he went into business school or became a businessman, or somebody was a lawyer, but now he became, let's say, a teacher or something else. So is that wrong? So is he accepting another person's duty? So that's not wrong. That's not what we are saying. Okay, that's not what Krishna is saying. Krishna is saying that to accept another person's duty because it is seemingly better, seems better to you in a way that you think it's less difficult. You think that your own path offers you less, let's say, sense gratification. It's less comfortable. So instead of facing those difficulties that are coming in your path, you are accepting another's path whimsically. Okay, so whimsically means without proper authority, without proper training, without going through proper channels. You just accept another person's work. Okay, that, so Prabhupada is saying, so Krishna is saying that promotes whimsicality and creates havoc. Okay, and it causes social disruption, because whenever we think something is inconvenient, we decide to just give up that line of work. Because it's inconvenient to my senses, to my mind, so I will just give up this work. So it creates social havoc, social disruption, because people start running away from their responsibilities. At the sign of slightest difficulty, slightest inconvenience, discomfort, people will just drop that work and do something else. That's not what is recommended. Okay, like this person is saying, I'm tired of my daily duties, I better become a sannyasi. So just because you got frustrated with handling your household, managing money, or going to work, you decide, okay, I'm just going to go to dham and just start living there, it's better. So that is not recommended. Okay, plus, doing somebody else's work may seem very easy from outside, may seem very appealing, comfortable from far, but first of all, it does not fit your nature. You did not receive, let's say, training for it. Proper authorities did not recommend you for it. You did not go through proper channels. It does not suit your swabhav. So it will conflict with your nature. Okay, and when it conflicts with your nature, it will cause problems. Okay, it will cause problems to you in the problems to people around you, and problems to society also. So this is some other points also. So this verse actually has many points. um Now let's draw the whiteboard, see if we can write some stuff on it. Okay, so first of all, we understand that we all have a swabhav. Okay, we have a swabhav which was given according to our gunas, according to the control of this nature, swabhav that we got in this body. Okay, Now, this Swabhav, we said we need to we need to explore, we need to understand. Okay, so this is very important. We are already, actually, all of us are grown ups here, so we are all set in our profession, and many other activities that we are also doing. But we already received training for something. We already got some, authorized instructions and some skill set that we developed, right? That suits our nature. But let's say we talk about our children now, our teenagers, kids that will be soon deciding which college to go to, which profession to take up, and within that profession, let's say further, let's say if somebody is becoming a doctor, which subspecialty to take up. Even if they decide a subspecialty, then what kind of work to take up? Because even within that specialty, you can be as busy or as light. So many things, so many decisions will have to be made, and all those decisions will actually come down to this, to swabhav. What is your swabhav? Okay. And swabhav will be very unique to every person. Okay, it's like, for example, I'm small built. I may just get full by eating two rotis. Okay. But somebody else may have to eat four rotis to become satisfied. Okay. So somebody's swabhav may not be very, somebody's swabhav may be of rajoguna, let's say, and they may be very ambitious. Okay. They may be very energetic, very active. So they need to engage that swabhav. Okay. But somebody's swabhav may be very sober, sedate. They're not very much into money making. They're not very. They get satisfied easier. So their tendency is not to get more, let's say, degrees, or they don't need more letters after their names. So then they need to find their particular profession or work accordingly. The city where they work, the spouse that they find, who they get married to. All these things will ultimately come down to their swabhav. So we should not impose same swabhav or our own swabhav, first of all, on kids or on other people, because everybody has a unique potential to fulfill, and unless they fulfill that unique potential, they will not be satisfied. Okay, so if somebody is very, let's say, not very ambitious, and you force them to be very ambitious, so that will not help either. It's like somebody can eat only two roti, but then you force them to eat four rotis. That will not be good for them either. They will get sick. Similarly, if somebody is very ambitious, but you try to suppress it artificially and just say no, no, just eat two rotis, when his appetite is for four, then he will not feel full. Okay. um, Having said that, in general, we should encourage kids to stay in higher modes, in mode of goodness. Okay, so this is actually a whole topic about how much a balance between satisfaction and ambition. So they should try to stay as much in mode of goodness as possible. There is a balance. Not We're not saying to become complacent or lazy in the name of satisfaction, and we are not saying to become so overly ambitious that you're running after one degree after another, or more and more money in the bank, or more and more promotions, like that. So there is a very, we have to be reasonable. Okay, so reasonably you have to situate yourself between satisfaction and ambition, and try to cultivate mode of goodness, or higher modes, at least goodness and passion, as much as possible. Then the other thing that decides what work you choose, so try to stay in mode of goodness. That's one thing in whatever line of work you choose. Okay. Secondly, thing that can decide for you is your service. How may I be of service? Choose a work, choose a city, choose a spouse, choose specialty or whatever, okay, further college, whatever, job, where you can be of maximum service. So serve in the best possible way. Because ultimately our work has to be service. So how can I serve, uh, make the best contribution possible? Okay, so that our time, our energies, our facilities, they're all used in the best possible service. Okay, these are some of the things to think about. Now, talking about work. Okay, what work? So there are 5 points I have delineated, based on various classes and things that I've heard. So 5 things that when we work, we should uh, ask our kids, or ourselves, even when we are working. First of all, this work should not be against scriptures. Okay, whatever line of work we choose, try that this should not be, this should be in line with the scriptures. Okay. So this is one point. The work should not be against scriptures. It should not be something criminal or sinful or very ghor karma or ugra karma type of work. It should be in accordance with the scriptures. It should be like this. Okay. Secondly, it should serve some purpose to others. It should help people. It should be of welfare to people. Okay. It should serve certain people in some way. Okay. It should make some contribution to the people or to the society. Okay. Somebody should be helped by that. So, does your work serve some purpose? Third, it should give one, like us, ourselves, some basic satisfaction. Okay. Basic satisfaction means at least it should bring us some money so that we can, some money and means so that we can support ourselves, so that we can eat, clothe, have shelter, and even more. Okay. Because remember, everybody's appetite is different. So it's possible somebody wants a big house or two cars, not one car. So some basic satisfaction. Again, staying in mode of goodness, not overdoing it, but being reasonable. It should give us some basic satisfaction. Okay. Then work should be something that you are good at. Okay. This comes to swabhav. Okay. Where you have trained, where you are good at, where your skill set can be engaged, where your talents, your natural tendencies can be used. Okay. So something that you are good at. Okay. And then work should also be in such a way that it is not too much prayas. Okay. It should not be over endeavor. Like, it's possible that in the beginning when you start work, you may have to endeavor to set up your position, set up your job, make a basic name for yourself, basic position or reputation for yourself. It may take some extra endeavor, but in long run it should not be a prayas on a daily basis. It should not be a lot of prayas where you're just slogging like a donkey. Okay. So prayas basically means where you don't have time for your spiritual practices, where it's so much work that your spiritual practices, your self realization, the main purpose of human life is getting neglected by that work. So these are the 5 points that I have delineated. The work should be something we are good at. It should serve a purpose, help people. It should satisfy our basic needs and even a little bit more. It should not be a prayas, over endeavor, where we are neglecting our spiritual duties or spiritual services or self realization practices. And it should be in accordance with the scriptures. In this way, we should choose work. And ideally, we should do that work in the mode of goodness with detachment and in the mood of service. And we should choose such a work, such a place, such a practice, such a job, such a city, such a spouse, which allows us to stay in mode of goodness and which allows us to serve in the best possible way. So this is just a very basic understanding of this verse I wanted to give you. Coming back to the verse, other couple other points that are important in this verse is, and then we can all share some things. Couple more points about this verse, because this verse has many points. So sometimes when we see other people are doing some work which we find very attractive, which we think is very appealing, it's possible we may give up our work and take up theirs, right? So what will happen is, what do you think will happen if somebody takes up somebody's work that their nature does not allow? They will not be able to do that work properly. So it will lead to inferiority complex. It will lead to envy. Okay. So sometimes we whimsically take up other people's work and later on realize we did not have the proper training for it. And it may lead to envy. It may lead to inferiority complex. It may lead to competition with other people for no reason. Okay. And it will lead to prayas, unnecessary endeavor, because you're trying to do something which is not in your nature. Okay. So again, that will lead to a lot of prayas because you're going against the stream, against the current of the water. So when you go against the current, you will have to swim very hard. So unnecessary endeavor will ensue. So that means prayas. It will drain your resources, your time, your emotions, your mental faculties. So it will faltu ka prayas hoga, right? Faltu mein competition, faltu ki envy, inferiority complex by just trying to imitate other people. So remember that we are all unique. We all have we can contribute in our own way, and we should not. Krishna has given us, some body based on what we deserve, some talent, some skills, some nature, some swabhav according to what we deserve, and we should engage that in the service, and we should explore that swabhav rather than worry about what other person got. Okay. Um, okay. Actually, this is all I have to share. Let's discuss a little bit more. Anybody wants to share anything on this? Hare Krishna. Puja
Hare
Mataji, thank you for
Hare
joining.
Krishna, Mataji. May I?
Yes, Prabhuji, please.
So I wanted to just verify my understanding with you, because you such a thorough you have done. The Swabhav that we are talking about here, is this the called Karan Sharir, or the casual body that we have along with our subtle body and the gross body? And that Swabhav comes from our prarabdha, like all the previous janmas that we have taken, and based on that we have acquired according to the karma. And then
Yes, Prabhu. Yes.
that's a causal body. Is that my understanding is right?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes.
Yeah,
Perfectly.
okay.
Yes.
Okay. So, and that's of how we are born with, because that is given to us from Krishna based on our previous thing. And that's what we find ourselves like, okay, I can do this one easily, better. And if I take up to other job, for I can give an example, like using the tools for home fixing and all, like for me it's like challenging. But say I know a friend, you just tell him and he'll just do it so easily. But then when it comes to do some kind of cleaning work or organizing something or putting something in order or planning, then I can do it more easily. So that's like, is that my so my swabhav is that way, that I have retrospected that. Okay, so based
Yes.
on that, and that 5 points, Mataji, that you mentioned, is very nicely mentioned, or six, 5 or 6, that it should not be dharma viruddh nahi hona chahiye. It should be per the scriptures. And then ज्यादा प्रयास नहीं करना चाहिए, नहीं तो फिर भगवान का जो हमारा ध्येय है मनुष्य जीवन का, वही खत्म हो जाएगा, क्योंकि दिन भर आप लगे रहोगे काम में अपना. So that's what I have to say, Mataji. That Swabhav
Mm.
is, I think it comes to us when we are born with. And once we get the opportunity, that's the nature. When we come in the world, one nurture has given, and like nurture comes, and the nature has given, and nurture comes. And then we tap into it and see where we satisfy ourselves more than where we don't, and we are frustrated all the time. So the one which leads to frustration should not be chosen as early as possible, rather than spending half of the life and then thinking that, hey, I should not have done that.
Right.
Yeah. Hare
Yes,
Krishna.
Prabhu. 100% perfect understanding. Yeah. So, and other thing is, if we are born in, let's say, more under the control of tamoguna, let's say, so that swabhav, that means our natural swabhav is more harmful, more detrimental. Hmm? In
Correct.
that case, yeah, in that case, we have, with proper guidance and hopefully our upbringing, and that's where the values, which most of us, these days are very tamasic or rajasic. So
Correct.
yeah, so that's where Bhagavad Gita teaching, our superiors, school system, teachers, parents, value system, traditions comes in, where we try to elevate a person's swabhav from lower modes to higher modes, and a little bit deliberate practice, self-awareness will be needed, where the person realizes, okay, I'm operating very much in tamoguna, I need to cultivate, to upgrade my consciousness to higher level. So we can also, yes, we are born with a certain swabhav, but we can also cultivate a higher, better value system, better swabhav, with slow practice, training, detachment. So of course, people that are born in satoguna will have easier time, but sometimes what happens is, I'll just share my realization. This realization I've shared with Nagarjuna Prabhu many times, because I'm born in tamoguna and rajoguna, so I correlate with this. Sometimes when you are born in lower nature, you will have very hard time in life, because you have tendency for, let's say, sinful activities, criminal activities, which will be punished very quickly. So you will realize that this type of swabhav is not helping me. This type of value system, whatever nature I have acquired, is not helpful. In anything, even in material activities, forget spiritual activities. So then that person will actually make extra effort. I've seen, like, for example, these hippies and all, they tried drugs, they tried alcohol, they tried so many illicit activities, and realized that those things are neither helping their body nor their relationships with their families, nothing. They have lost their jobs and have no reputation in the society. So sometimes lower swabhav people find it actually, they make more effort to come to higher nature, higher consciousness, because they get kicked around a lot in life. And so and opposite happens sometimes with good swabhav, with, let's say, people that are in satoguna. They're in satoguna, so they have good habits, they have good values, they work hard, they're always satisfied, peaceful, happy. Sometimes such people I see are not able to take up, let's say, Krishna consciousness or go further into transcendence, because they're so satisfied. There is nowhere else to go. They're so happy, right? Because Satoguna brings happiness, peace, satisfaction. So, and I've seen a lot in such people that are actually very satoguni, and bhakti will be very easy for them. They don't even drink tea or coffee or forget about alcohol, no illicit activities at all. But they're so calm and composed and satisfied in their life that they have no hankering to even get to bhakti platform or transcendental platform. And sometimes people that are in rajoguna and tamoguna beat them, because they're actually trying very hard to elevate their consciousness, because they realize that this type of nature is not helping them. Just a realization I wanted to share.
Yes, Mataji, that is what, that nature and nurture. What
Hmm.
we say, we come with our guna, but then if the nurture is done through a different mode, yes, it can be easily done. And that's where our ahar, the food comes the first. Even if we are operating on a tamogun most of the time, but if the ahar is more of a satoguni, like then obviously the whatever practice we do, it's going to flourish more than if we don't do otherwise. So the food becomes very important in the raising our swabhav to the different platform, like from lower to higher.
Hmm.
My understanding also, because the of the food, not only by eating food, even the one that we watch. Like nowadays, if you stick to the TV screen or the phone screen, most of the thing is mode of rajogun or tamogun. They are either showing you the meat eating, alcohol, violence, so that kind of a intake also affects our swabhav. Even if we're trying to become higher, but then if we continue to operate on those level, like our intakes, the indriya ko jo na rasendriya and को involve करेंगे and जो देखेंगे, that becomes also a big barrier. So just I wanted to add that if we want to elevate our operating, then we have to control this ahar very well and
Hmm.
keep it at the higher level.
Yes, true. And actually,
Correct.
that is a very nice transition into next topic, which is what
Oh,
Krishna will talk about.
okay.
So,
Hare
um,
Krishna.
so let's go to that verse. Anybody else wants to share anything on this verse? Exploring your unique nature, deciding your prescribed duty or your activities in this world.
Hare Krishna. I was just wondering that this is such a um, important knowledge and discussion for parents as well as for children. You're mentioning that how it can help in trying to decide what to do and where to go and what is. And in India, sometimes we see that parents are pushing kids too much. That for whatever be their swabhav, they're saying no, you have to become doctor or engineer or whatever. So, and sometimes that leads to depression, suicides, all those things because they do not understand this knowledge. The parents also do not, and that's why they're pushing. Sometimes when somebody may not have that proclivity, so they would push them down too much. Now, if somebody does have that and they're doing it, it's good to uh, you know uplift that. But at the same time, if somebody does not have that, just understand that is not their nature. They may be good at something, really good at something else, and may do very good in that thing. So that is very very good, and again underlines the importance of this knowledge at all ages. And the sooner we can get this knowledge, the better it is. um, and it's so helpful and so practical. Hare Krishna.
Right. And Krishna mentioned it again in 18th chapter. So imagine. One word I wanted to write very quickly is called psychophysical nature. Okay. Psychophysical nature. So psycho means referring to mind and physical referring to body. Psychophysical. So our mind and body, this is the word Prabhuji was using. So psychophysical nature will help you understand many differences, like from different people. Sometimes our psychophysical nature varies. So we should try to understand our kids or our own psychophysical nature, which is called Swabhav, and operate within it and try to achieve our topmost potential. So we should encourage, because people like kids and all, they tend to give up even within the realms of, once they explore, once they understand what they want, then we have to push them and encourage them to achieve their topmost potential. Okay, so within that they should achieve their, and again we talked about this satisfaction versus ambition, how much to be satisfied with and how much to pursue. Okay, we have example of all kinds of servants of Lord in the scriptures, where there are Pandavas, Amrish Maharaj, who were very, very opulent, lived in palaces, have a lot of wealth and property and position and name and fame. So they were very ambitious. They had a lot of resources. They were very opulent people. But then we have examples of very complete renunciates, like Raghunath Das Goswami, or all the six Goswamis, Narad Muni. They are living in meager resources. So like that, everybody's level of satisfaction or ambition could be different. And the main thing is, you should be, whatever capacity you are in that capacity you should be serving. So it's possible, if you're enjoying a lot of facilities, then your service should also be big. So if you're in a bigger position, then your service should also be bigger accordingly, according to your position, according to your material opulences, according to your material prescribed duty or conditional duty. The scope of your service should also be more. Okay, so it's not that you just enjoy materially more, but your scope of service has to be on a similar scale, if not more. It should be on a bigger scale also. So another thing, just wanted to elaborate.
I think I just want to
Yes.
share a few words.
Yes.
I think this is the best verse I have learned so far. This is a real practical thing that is telling us that what we are doing and what we should do and what not. Thank you so much. Very good.
Very cool. Very nice. Okay, so okay, how do I come out of it? An example comes of a donkey and a dog. So once a pet owner had a donkey and a dog as his pets. And one day donkey saw that when the master came, the dog went running to him and was barking in a nice soft bark. And master was very pleased with him and he gave him some treat. So donkey thought, okay, I will also do the same thing. Next day, he went running very fast towards the master. And master got scared because he thought the donkey was coming to kick him. So master took out the stick and beat him with it. Because he thought the donkey, because that is a sign of aggression from donkey when he comes running towards you very fast like that. And then one day, donkey tried to impress him by trying to imitate the bark of the dog. And that bark sounded very horrible coming from his mouth. And so again, master thought that maybe donkey got sick and gave him some medicine. So like that, just a very crude example of, if we try to imitate somebody else who has a very different nature, very different tendencies, then what will happen? It will not sit well. It will not go well.
Hare
Also
Krishna
reminds me of
Mataji.
that, go ahead.
Yes.
Okay.
Hare Krishna Mataji, for this, having you said about Sabha, very, very nicely put, Mataji, and all the points. And just as you said about this donkey and dog example, there is a saying also in Hindi that "Kauwa chala hans ki chaal,
Ah.
anat bhula apni chaal." So we should not try to imitate others. Yeah, we do get some influence sometime, like, oh, this is very nice, this is very good. But I think we should judge as per our nature and swabhav, and what we really want to do, as Indu Mataji said, that and that we should pursue and carry forward, and we should inculcate the same thing in our children and kids as well. And one more thing, Mataji, I was actually confused, and that you answered very well. That we can decide, you said that which guna we want to be controlled by. And I was very wondering that, because Swabhav is something inherent which we are born with. That is inborn nature we are having, and that we carry throughout our life. And of course, we can try to improve certain things, habits throughout the course of the life. But it's just like Ravi Shankar Prabhuji said, that by nature and nurture, like you can, with the slowly practice training, or by the food which you eat, you can nurture or slightly modify your behavior uh, to make it a more in compliance with the job, or with the environment you are in, or in a Krishna consciousness, or for the higher taste or upliftment. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Mataji. Thank you for sharing your realizations and summarizing it. Let's go to the next topic. Let's do two verses only. I just want to introduce the next topic. So now Arjun, remember when Arjun asks a question, typically the topic changes. So now Krishna is talking about work, but now Arjun is going to ask about something else. Let's see what he says. This is very important. One of the most important questions Arjuna has asked in the whole Bhagavad Gita. So he says, Arjuna vacha अथ केन प्रयुक्तोऽयम् अथ केन प्रयुक्तोऽयम् पापं चरति पुरुष पापं
पापं
चरति
चरति
पुरुष
पुरुषः
अनिच्छम् अपि वार्ष्णेया अनिच्छम् अपि
नित्यमपि वाष्णेयः
बलादेवा नियोजिता
बलादेव नियोजिता.
Can somebody read the translation? Sakshi Mataji, want to read?
Yes. Arjuna said, O descendant of Krishna,
Vrishni.
O descendant of Vrishni, by what is one impelled to sinful acts even unwillingly, as if engaged by force?
So let me just show you the translation, the Sanskrit of this. So Arjun is asking, Athakena, by what? Prayukto, one is impelled. Ayam means one is impelled, or you can say compelled. To charati means to perform or to commit. Pap, okay? A person, by what one is impelled, a person is impelled to perform or to commit a sinful act, okay? Anicham, as if unwillingly, even though he doesn't want to. Api means although he doesn't want to, although anicha, unwillingly, O descendant of Vrishni, balad iva niyojita, as if force, by engaged by force. Niyojita means engaged by force. So Arjun is asking that, oh Krishna, why is it that sometimes against our will, as if by force, seemingly it appears as if forcefully, we are engaging in pap or sinful activity? One is like one feels compelled to perform something wrong, to commit some wrong action, even without one's desires, against one's icha, against one's desire, unwillingly, by force, as if by force. So it seems like some kind of hidden force is pushing that person to commit a crime, to commit sin, commit some error, some mistake, even though he knows that he should not commit that mistake, or that make that do that crime or do that sin. So what is it that compels one to perform that sin? Okay, Krishna will answer. Let's, Mataji, please read the purport.
A living entity, as part and parcel of the Supreme, is originally spiritual, pure, and free from all material contaminations. Therefore, by nature, he is not subject to the sins of the material world. But when he is in contact with the material nature, he acts in many sinful ways without hesitation and sometimes even against his will. As such, Arjuna's question to Krishna is very sanguine as to the perverted nature of the living entities. Although the living entity sometimes does not want to act in sin, he is still forced to act. Sinful actions are not, however, impelled by the super soul within, but are due to another cause, as the Lord explains in the next verse.
Okay. So Krishna will answer, but Arjuna is asking why one commits sin as if by force. Okay. So Prabhupada is making one point here that we are spirit soul, so we are very pure. We are completely pure in consciousness. We are Satchidanand Roop. In our original state, we have no sinful tendency. We don't commit anything wrong, any crime or anything bad at all. So we are very pure in our original state. But when we come in contact, so here, when he's in contact with the material nature, when we come in contact with the three gunas or with the prakriti, with material nature, then sinful acts happen. Then one commits sinful activities without hesitation. So basically, what is happening is we are allowing, like just Mataji mentioned just now, that we can decide which mode controls us, right? So we allow basically the lower modes to control us. Krishna will say this in the next verse. And under the influence of those lower modes like Rajoguna and Tamoguna, we commit sins. But what is that force? We'll talk about it. Actually, this was a question that, let me show you. This was a question that Duryodhan also asked in Mahabharata. He said, show you this verse. Anyways, from the last verse, I forgot to share this quote from Einstein. Everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid. So a fish.
That's what I was remembering when I was about to say something, that you always mention this quote. So I was going to mention this
I
quote.
always mention this, yeah. So I really like this quote because fish's ability is to swim, but if you judge it by its ability to climb a tree or to, let's say, fly in the sky, then the fish will think that it is stupid. So it should know that it just needs to swim and fulfill its potential in the water, not in the sky or on the tree. This is the next verse. So this verse, this topic I have labeled desire management. Very important topic. Maybe we'll have like a bigger class on it one day. But for now, this is the verse that Duryodhan asked. He said, Janami dharmam na cha me pravritti, janamya adharmam na cha me nivritti, kenapi deven hridhi stithena yatha nyukto asmi tatha karomi. So the first two lines are very similar to what Arjun is saying. Janami dharmam na cha me pravritti. I know what is dharma, but I cannot get myself to follow it. I know what is adharma, janami adharmam, na cha me nivritti, yet I cannot restrain from it, like I cannot refrain myself from it. So basically, this is what Arjuna is saying, that even though we know what is bad, but still, as if by force, unwillingly, we are committing adharma. So I know what is dharma and what is adharma. Most people have this problem. When we try to give them Bhagavad Gita, they say that I know what is in the Bhagavad Gita. I know what is dharma, what is adharma. I know what is right or what is wrong. Gyan mat do, hai na? Gyan mat bato. We know what is dharma, what is adharma, what is right, what is wrong. But still, we are not able to follow it. So what is the reason for that? Let's read the next verse. What is Krishna's reply to it? 3.37, again, memory verse, very important. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha.
Vacha
Kama Esha Krodha Esha. Kama
Kama
Esha
Esha
Krodha
Krodha
Esha.
Esha
Rajo Guna Samudbhava. Rajo
Rajo
Guna Samudbhava. Maha Ashno Mahapapma.
Mahashno
Ashno
Mahapapma.
Mahapapma. Viddhi enam miha vairinam.
Vriddhienam thaverinam.
I'll show you Sanskrit and then let's recite it a couple more times. So here, well, let's read translation and then I'll show you Sanskrit. Can somebody read it?
I can
Yes.
read.
Yes.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "It is lust only, O Arjuna, which is born of contact with the material mode of passion and later transformed into wrath, and which is the all devouring, sinful enemy of this world."
So the answer is lust. Okay. Lust. First of all, please let's understand lust means lust in typical context, from in the world we think of just sexual lust, but lust actually, when it comes, this word calm or lust comes in our literature, in our Vedic scriptures, in literature, then it refers to very uh, unworthy desire, like not very, but any kind of desire. Basically it refers to any material desire which is separate from Krishna. Okay, so calm means material desire, like to fulfill our sense gratification, sensual type of desire, or to have some fruitive benefits for ourselves, personal gains, to enjoy in this world, to get some name, fame, wealth, followers, reputation in this world. Any kind of desires that are separate from Krishna, you can say materialistic desires, they are called calm. Okay, so lust is not here referring to just sexual desire, it's referring to any kind of sex is just the strongest of the material desire. In Vedic scriptures it is said that the sex desire is considered the most it is considered the strongest urge or strongest desire, whose impression is very deep on our subtle body. But any desires separate from Krishna or materialistic desires are referred to as calm. Okay. So, first of all, have that understanding, calm. So, Krishna's answer is it is lust, meaning any material desires. That is the reason of committing sin. So, calm leads to krodh or wrath. I'll tell you how. Okay. And this happens under the influence of Rajoguna, under the due to the contact with Rajoguna. Maha Ashno. This leads to all devouring, greatly sinful. This is all devouring, greatly sinful condition. Okay, this lust is a all devouring, greatly sinful problem, and it is the greatest enemy, Varinam, of this world. Okay, so this is the problem. Krishna is saying this is greatly sinful, the biggest enemy, and it is all devouring, like it will eat you up, it will eat up this whole world, and comes in contact, it happens in contact with the Rajoguna. So we will understand this more, but let's read the purport. Who wants to read the purport?
I can read again.
Yes.
When a living entity comes in contact with the material creation, his eternal love for Krishna is transformed into lust in association with the mode of passion. Or, in other words, the sense of love of God becomes transformed into lust, as milk in contact with sour tamarind is transformed into yogurt. Then again, when lust is unsatisfied, it turns into wrath. Wrath is turned into illusion, and illusion continues the material existence. Therefore, lust is the greatest enemy of the living entity, and it is lust only which induces the pure living entity to remain entangled in the material world. Wrath is the manifestation of the mode of ignorance. These modes exhibit themselves as wrath and other corollaries. If, therefore, the mode of passion, instead of being degraded into mode of ignorance, is elevated in the mode of goodness by the prescribed method of living and acting, then one can be saved from degradation of wrath by spiritual attachment.
Someone else wants to read? Puja Mataji, want to read?
Jai Mataji, the Supreme Personality of Godhead expanded himself into many of his ever increasing spiritual bliss, and the living entities are part and parcels of the spiritual bliss. They also have partial independence, but by misuse of their independence, when the service attitude is transformed into the propensity for sense enjoyment, they come under the sway of lust. This material creation is created by the Lord to give facility to the conditioned soul to fulfill these lustful propensities. And when completely baffled by prolonged lustful activities, the living entities begin to inquire about their real position. This inquiry is the beginning of the Vedanta Sutra, wherein it is said, Atato Brahma Jignasa. One should inquire into the Supreme. And the Supreme is defined in Srimad Bhagavatam as Janmade Asayato Navyad Itaratas Cha, or the origin of everything is the Supreme Brahman. Therefore, the origin of lust is also in the Supreme. If therefore lust is transformed into love for the Supreme or transformed into Krishna consciousness, or in other words, desiring everything for Krishna, then both lust and wrath can be spiritualized. Hanuman, the great servitor of Lord Rama, exhibited this wrath by burning the golden city of Ravana. But by doing so, he became the greatest devotee of the Lord. Here also, in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord induces Arjuna to engage his wrath upon his enemies for the satisfaction of the Lord. Therefore, lust and wrath, when they are employed in Krishna consciousness, become our friends instead of our enemies. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji, for reading. So Krishna gives the answer that it is the lust which is causing a person to commit sinful activities. So let's understand some things. Prabhupada, beautiful purport by Prabhupada. Let's understand. So Prabhupada starts by saying that in our original state, we have love for Krishna. Okay, we know that. So this is Krishna Prem. When we come in this material world, because of the contact of three modes, because of the contact of Prakriti, by getting this body, this love gets transformed into something perverted, something obscene, or you can say unwanted, which is called lust. Okay. And we said that lust is basically desires. Okay. So please understand this word desires. This is the basis. Prabhupada, if you read the first few lines that you read, Mataji. So he said, basically, love has transformed into lust like milk gets transformed into yogurt by adding something sour. So just like love became lust by coming in contact with Prakriti, just similar to how milk becomes yogurt by coming in contact with something sour. Okay. This lust or this desires is basically desires that are materialistic, that are self-centered desires, egocentric, bodily desires that are separate from Krishna. Okay. This is the reason for our existence in this world. This is like people say, why was this world created? Prabhupada is answering that. This material creation is created by the Lord. Second paragraph, if you see, Prabhupada says, this material creation is created by the Lord to give facility to the conditioned souls to fulfill their lustful propensities. So basically, we had desire to enjoy separately from Krishna, and Krishna gave us this world to enjoy separately from him. जैसे कि कोई बच्चा माँ बाप से दूर जाना चाहता है तो माँ बाप ने उसको जाने दिया. Okay, go and enjoy and have fun. Okay, so he created this world. So many times we say, right, कि दुनिया बनाने वाले क्या तेरे मन में समाई, काहे को दुनिया बनाई. So the dunya was made, the world was made because we wanted it, because we wanted to enjoy separately from Krishna, because we had desires to enjoy like a lord, like a proprietor, like a we wanted to be in the center. So this desire is the reason, is the basis for our existence. This is the reason for this is keeping us here. So now, okay, now I'll tell you a couple other things. Let me show you. 2-3 things are coming to me very quickly, so I have to show you. Some of you may have seen this picture. Many of you have seen this picture. Not this. You've seen this picture. In this picture, if you see, please note very carefully. This is the spiritual world on the top. At the bottom is the material world. Okay? In the material world, we have our dharma, earth, kam, moksha. So many things are going on. Pious. Some people are doing pious acts. Some people are doing impious acts. Whatever, right? Impious acts, pious acts. So many things are going on. But this, in the middle, there is desire. You see that? This desire is the basis of this world. So desire, so this is a very important principle to understand. This desire is what is the just in chapter 15, the banyan tree is described. And this world is a reflection of the original banyan tree. But reflection has to happen on water, right? Pani पेड़ का reflection है ये world. It is a perverted reflection of the original world. But reflection happens on the water. That water is the desire, okay, on which this reflection, this world is based. So this illusion or this world of ignorance or world of avidya, this world is based on the desire of the jivas, okay. As long as there are desires of jiva to enjoy separately from Krishna, till then the world will exist, which means forever. That's why this world is also it gets annihilated, but then it gets formed again because the jiva's desires never finish. Okay, this is something I wanted to show you. So the first, okay, so we have desire. When we have desire separate from Krishna, then, or materialistic desire, according to our conditioned nature, according to our guna karma, then we perform certain action, okay, to fulfill that desire. And then we get some result, okay. Then we get some result. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna just talks about, initially he just talks about giving up the, ये पूरा एक chain है. But Krishna talks about giving up the results to him, offer the results to him, right? Karmanyavadhikarste ma phaleshu kadachan. We talk about Nishkam Karma Yoga or Karma Yoga, in which we offer the results to him. Then slowly, as we progress through this chapter, third chapter, we understood that actually the actions should also be understood to be sanctioned by Krishna. We are not the complete doer. We should give up this doership mentality and understand, not take full credit for the action either. Not only we are not entitled to results, we are not even entitled to action. So Krishna says, Prakrite kriyamanane guna karmani sarvasha ahankaram vimudatma karta hamiti manyate. Vimudatma thinks that I am the doer. So we were shaken out of our doership mentality also. So enjoyer mentality, don't enjoy the result. These are not for you. These are for him. Doership mentality, don't think you are the doer. There are other variables, other people, other doers also involved. Okay, Krishna has to sanction and Prakriti has to facilitate, and many things have to come together for the action to be accomplished. So you are not the doer. But then we go further back and understand that actually our desire also has to be dovetailed in the service of Krishna. Okay, so pehle bilkul superficial understanding was to give up the results. Then we understood that even our actions we should not become very proud or very arrogant when some action is accomplished properly. And then we should understand that our desire led to that action. So our desire is the root cause of everything. Our desire is the root cause of our existence. Our desire is the root cause of this world. So the desire has to be purified. The lust to enjoy this world has to be purified, has to be cleansed. So then in the first paragraph, Prabhupada says, and this is what Ravi Prabhu was also saying, that this desire, how can it be purified? He says, first of all, whatever actions, whatever things you do, try to elevate yourself in the mode of goodness, okay? Elevate yourself to the mode of goodness. This last line, if you say, Prabhupada says, elevate to the mode of goodness, live a prescribed life of living and acting, okay? So, mode of goodness mein rahoge to already many desires will become purified, right? Because so many things people will not do in satoguna that they would have otherwise done in tamoguna or rajoguna. So at least stay in mode of goodness, because many things, bad desires will be restricted by following mode of goodness. Then he said, follow a regulated or prescribed lifestyle of living, eating, acting. So follow a very regulated lifestyle. So when you follow very disciplined or regulated or prescribed lifestyle, then also many of the desires, bad desires, unwanted, unworthy desires will get curtailed. And then he said the third thing, which is most important thing, I hope you can see that line on the purport, first paragraph, last line. Then he said spiritual attachment. So engage the desire, attach the desire to some spiritual activity. Okay, spiritual attachment. Attach it to not for your self-centered purpose, but change that desire or align that desire in service of Krishna to some spiritual activity or some service related activity, some Krishna conscious activity. So make that desire Krishna conscious or create spiritual attachment, dovetail that desire. Okay. So at least be in mode of goodness to curtail some bad desires, bad lusty things, live a regulated lifestyle, and then if some desires remain, then try to dovetail them in the service of Krishna. So that this is what we have to do. We have to live a regulated lifestyle, cultivate mode of goodness, satoguna as much as possible, and live a life of service, align everything in service of Krishna as much as possible. Let's see what else. And of course, in the end, Prabhupada is saying that love became lust. But what we have to do is we have to make that lust into love again. So when you dovetail desires in service of Krishna, that lust again becomes love. Okay. So that's the last thing Prabhupada is saying. Lust will again become love if you align them in service. Okay. Okay. One more thing, I think last thing. So typically ordinary people, okay, this is very important point actually, where the anger came in. Kam esha krodesha rajo guna samudbhava. Krishna said, Kam se krodh hota hai. How does Kam lead to krodh? So when we have some desires, okay, this is a condition of an ordinary person, like a regular jiva. When he has some desires, either they will get fulfilled, let's say they got fulfilled, okay, good outcome. They got fulfilled. He wanted something, he got it. But when he gets it, he will become greedy. Okay. The senses will not just be satisfied with fulfilling the desire once, they will want the next thing or more of that. Okay. So he will become greedy. So greed will develop. If the desire did not get fulfilled, then anger will develop or wrath. Okay. Anger will develop. The person will become, the senses, the mind will become agitated, frustrated, anger at this failure of not fulfilling the desire. Okay. This anger will lead to sin. Okay, they will commit some sinful activity. Somehow they want to fulfill that desire. Because they become angry, they lose all control of their senses and mind, and they will commit some sin or crime or some improper behavior. Okay. If they became greedy, then again they will commit some crime or sin or improper behavior. So either way, materialistic desires, self-centered desires, whether they are fulfilled or not fulfilled, they will lead to sin. This is what Arjun was saying. Why does somebody do sin? Like take the example of Duryodhan. Why is he committing sin even though he knows what is right and what is wrong? Because he's not able to control this unworthy desire of ruling the kingdom. He and Dhritarashtra and the whole Kaurav party is so consumed with this lust for the kingdom. They want to enjoy, they want to rule that kingdom, they want to see themselves on the throne of Hastinapur so badly that this has led to this anger and greed and whatnot, that they are now resorting to sin and crime. Okay. So when somebody's desires are fulfilled or not fulfilled, either way, ultimately it ends up in sin. Okay. Let's say I had a very strong desire to get a car, and I worked very hard for it. I spent so much time on it, so much extra shifts I picked up, whatnot. But still I could not get the car. Okay. So then I will become very angry, and I may go and steal a car, or I may make money with some corrupt way, or I may lie or cheat to fulfill my purpose. Right. So I may do some bad things, some corrupt, some bad actions to fulfill my desire. Even if it got fulfilled, it's possible it may not last very long. It may lead me to want the next thing. Now I want the next model, or I want a bigger car, or I want now two cars, or my neighbor has a different, better model, a luxury car, which is what I want. So greed will develop, and then it's possible I may commit some sinful act, and this is the source of sin in this world, the bad desires. The devotee, however, so this is the regular person. What does a devotee do? Devotee dovetails the desires in service of Krishna. He looks at every desire through the lens of Krishna consciousness. Okay, and the rule for this is anukulyasya sankalpa pratikulyasya varjanam. Any desire that is not convenient, that is not in line with Krishna consciousness, or that is not serving you or serving the higher purpose of self-realization, give up that desire. But anukulya se sankalpa, but whatever desire, a spiritual desire which will help to serve the purpose of self-realization, a higher goal, a worthy goal, goal for the welfare of people, goal that is not just self-centered, then sankalpa, usko फिर with determination, actually we should fulfill that desire. We should work towards that thing with endeavor, with determination, go even make some prayas for that, or go into an uncomfortable realm to fulfill that desire. So anukulyasya sankalpa, pratikulyasya varjanam. But whatever is not convenient, whatever is not congenial for your growth, for your spiritual growth, or for the spiritual welfare, or even welfare of other people, which is just self-centered, try to give that up. Pratikulasya varjanam, usko varjan karna chahiye, avoid karna chahiye. So these are some of the thoughts on this last verse that we just did. So Krishna said once more that it is calm, which is developed under the control of, under the contact with mode of passion, and then becomes wrath, and that is the all-devouring sinful and enemy of the world. Okay, I'll stop here. We'll take up from 38 next time. Only 6 more verses to go. Maybe we can finish next time. Anybody wants to share anything or share their realizations?
Hare Krishna.
Hare
So,
Krishna.
so I was remembering the 63 and 64?
Mhm.
Dhyayate Vishya Pumsa Sangat Se Subjayate Sangat Sanjayate Kama Kama Krodha Vijayate Krodhat Bhavati Sammoha Sammoha Smriti Viprama Smriti Bramshad Buddhinashad Buddhinashad Pranashyati. So they kind of go in line with the, when I was reading the purport, first paragraph, it was, directly coming from there. Prabhupada is not mentioned. Prabhupada does that many times. Everything he says is from scriptures. Sometimes he gives the references, sometimes, he does not. But everything is directly in line from scriptures, even in the purports. So just nectarian. So there, in those verses, Krishna is saying how we start thinking about something. Once we start thinking something about something too much, then slowly greed develops. From greed, eventually lust develops, and then when the lust is not fulfilled, then you get angry, and then when you get angry, then then your buddhi brahmsha, the
Vritti Brahmshad Buddhinasho, yeah.
yeah, so that your understanding and your mind basically is destroyed, and you do things which are not conducive or the right things.
Right.
So that is one thing. Next thing I was thinking was, what if, just being the devil's advocate here, just wanted your thoughts and wanted you to comment on this. What if somebody says, "Well, this is not my piece of cake. My nature is not like this. You are telling me to do something against my nature, doing all this Krishna consciousness or spiritual activities. I just want to do my work. My work is worship. So how would you answer that? Or like Krishna? Oh no, okay, I won't go into my thoughts. Just I will ask the question.
Yeah, but I think you were going to say that, but Krishna already answered that, right? That learned people should not prematurely aggravate the other people and try get them to stop doing their work. Or remember in 2 or 3 verses he said that learned people should not baffle, should not bewilder the ordinary people who are attached to their work. So, but with their own example, through their own service attitude, working in spirit of Krishna consciousness, they can show what is the real spirit and what profound joy and deeper satisfaction it brings them working in that mood. And setting an example, so like doing yagyas or giving money for some spiritual activity, so that the ordinary people that may be influenced by you and may also start contributing towards spiritual activities, or you can engage them in services. So it depends on how much faith they have, right? You will have to test the waters and see how much faith they have, how much they're inclined. So they may not be completely Krishna Vimukh, they may be able to engage in some services. So according to their nature, you can try to engage their nature in certain services. So however amenable they are to, you won't completely detach them from their work or from, and that's not recommended. Krishna is not recommending that for Arjun even. So who are we to recommend that to anybody? Everybody should employ their nature in some service. But you can gently introduce the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, and through your own life's example, through your own service attitude, through your own service activities, and then engage their nature and their tendency in various services if possible. Give them prasad. Yeah, just how, depending on however inclined they are, however amenable they are to your guidance, to your influence, to your to engaging in various spiritual activities. So none of us are there. We are also inclined towards many materialistic desires, many unworthy desires that we are nurturing. Prabhupada said, like Prabhuji said, we are nurturing. So instead of nurturing, worthy sattvic activities, we are nurturing some illicit activities all the time. So we are also on a path. They are just on a lower rung of ladder. We may be on a higher rung, but all of us are on a journey ultimately. So nobody's beyond help, nobody's beyond guidance. So just depending on however their faith is, however their inclination is, you guide them that much. That's all I have to share.
Ravi Prabhu, you have your hand raised?
Yes, Prabhuji, please share.
I had a two realization, or I wanted to share two of my understanding. We'll start with the Nagarjan Prabhu question. If somebody says work is my worship, then the options are two, Prabhuji, according to me. If they're wanting to come in Krishna consciousness or becoming a little bit satoguni, then we can tell them, okay, you continue your work, but offer your work, Krishna Arpanamastu, and say the God's name, whatever is, like you like it to say, Radha, Krishna, Ram, Hari, whatever. Say it like every 5 minutes or every 10 minutes, whatever comes to your head. If they say, no, I really don't want to do anything, then Namaskar, Hare Krishna. So that's I would do to that, but my comment on that one. And then Mataji, that we talked about this Kamesha, Krodhesa, like the Iksha ka hi next दूसरा नाम प्रायवाची synonyms is the Maya. So इच्छा होने से ही हम लोग माया में जाते हैं. So your point that अनुकूलनस्य संकल्प प्रतिकूलस्य वर्जनम जो हम लोग को recommend किया गया है. तो इच्छा तो रहेगी, इच्छा रहित तो हो नहीं सकते हैं. तो उसको वो इच्छा को अनुकूल बना के भगवान की ओर जाने वाला जो इच्छा है उसको हम संकल्प करके पकड़ लेंगे, और जो भगवान से दूर लेके जाएगा उसको अपना संकल्प करके छोड़ देंगे. दैट्स वेयर प्रभुपाद पॉइंट कम्स इन पिक्चर. रेगुलेटिव लाइफस्टाइल. So basically disciplined lifestyle. That's what I understand from regulative lifestyle. A very disciplined where we know what calm and what iksha I have to nurture and what I have to let go, so that I don't end up doing anything which is against the scripture, जिससे हमसे पाप बन जाए, क्योंकि ज्यादा कमाने के चक्कर में ही धर्म विरुद्ध कार्य हो जाते हैं. तो और जहां धर्म विरुद्ध कार्य हो जाएंगे तो फिर हमारी दुर्गति निश्चित ही है. वी आर गोइंग टू गो डाउन हिल. सो उसको दो सूत्र इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. रेगुलेटिव लाइफस्टाइल, डिसिप्लिन लाइफस्टाइल, where we designate our certain time for in exercise, certain time for spiritual sadhana, because as you say, we are all sadhaka. Some of us little bit on a little higher one, little bit lower one. We are all sadhaka stage mein hai. So we will regulate our whole timeline for exercise, for regulative principles like spiritual practice, jo Bhagwan ne bataya hai. And then we'll try to, but the best thing is we are very blessed, or I would say fortunate, that we are even having this understanding. I know it took 50 years for me to have this understanding, that at least we have to be doing something where we don't want to get into the cycle of this birth and death, and that is the core, is the iksha, the calm. उससे अगर हम अपने आप को मुक्त कर लिया, मैंने उसको रेगुलेट कर लिया, मुक्त तो नहीं हो सकते हैं, तो फिर हमारा मैंने बेड़ा पार है. मैंने भगवान के शरण में रह करके निकल सकते हैं. That's what I think myself as, like, very fortunate to even have this kind of association and knowledge. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhuji, thank you. Yes, you summarized everything. Very nice points. I'll just share two more thoughts that were coming to my head. You know this verse, Anukulyasya Sankalpa Pratikulyasya Varjanam. This is 6 symptoms of surrender. Okay. So 6 symptoms of surrender are given in Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu or Nectar of Devotion. Goptritve Varnam Tata Rakshishai Vishwaso Atmanikshepa, that like that. So 6 symptoms are given, and it is amazing that the first 2 refer to basically managing your desires, managing your ichha, your calm. Anukulyasya sankalpa, pratikulyasya varjanam. So that's how important the desires are. Baki Krishna is your protector, yeah, he's your maintainer. Those things come later in symptoms of surrender. First thing is you have to align your desires in a spiritual way as much as possible. So anukulyasya sankalpa, pratikulyasya varjanam. So I was just thinking on that this out of 6 symptoms of surrender, the first 2 are controlling your ichha, your calm. Second thing I was thinking is, this thing we have to really absorb very deeply in our mind, even if you're not able to practice it, but we should at least know it, that material desires will be frustrated no matter what. Material desires will always be frustrated in this world. Any desires separate from Krishna, self-centered desires will always be frustrated. Okay, even if they seem like they got fulfilled in short term, eventually they will frustrate in some way. So somebody might think, we were having this discussion, I remember, with Sakshi Mataji and Prabhu and Devansh Prabhu, that even if somebody fails in their desires, they think I'm a failure, so already they get frustrated because they think they're a failure. But even if they succeeded in whatever they were trying to accomplish in a materialistic way, that success will also bring its own level of burden, own level of trauma, own level of fear, anxiety, and problems with it. Okay. So success is not in this world is not free. ऐसा नहीं सोचना चाहिए कि कोई fail हो गया तो वो जो भी worldly standards, if somebody fails, then that's failure. Even if you have success in according to worldly standard, you got some position, you got some job, you got some position, some college or something, then that will come with its own level of responsibility, material burden, problems, difficulties, trauma, fear, frustration, that will maybe even bigger than if you had failed actually. And so I'm just giving a perspective that material desires will frustrate eventually, whether they are fulfilled or not fulfilled. So it's in our best interest to try to align our desires with Krishna as much as possible. And I know we're struggling with it. We don't have full faith in this concept, but at least we should know this and slowly start to restrain our desires as much as possible.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, I would like to share something on this note, that Arjuna did right thing in this sense that he was not having any unworthy desire of having the kingdom or relishing it or enjoy all this worldly or materialistic thing. So it's a good that happened that he only fought. He was confused. It's good. He was compassionate in a sense that he was not having this desire which leads to, as you have told us, develop into a sin, either fulfilled or not fulfilled. So he just fought for the upholding of dharma, which was the right thing to do. That's what I thought. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Mataji. Thank you for sharing. Okay, any other points? Shall we stop for today? Please read this chapter. Please go into details, write your realizations, write your questions. Next time we'll try to finish this chapter, and time after that we'll try to have Kahoot on it. Okay, thank you everyone for joining. We'll stop. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Jagadish Prabhupada ki jai. Vancha kaltarubhischa kripa sindhubhyo patatanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namah. All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you so much,
Krishna.
Mataji. Thank you, all devotees.